Right now with my new setup. Finally, folks. It's only taken me a week to get out all the gremlins, and it's sort of weird. I didn't change anything from one day to another with a lot of problems, and for some reason it's working. You've got to love technology. It certainly pays for my bills, so that's a good start. Anyway, welcome to Start Building Me. I'm D7B, aka Gordo, and I've been doing this on Twitch for the last 2 years with friends and people all over the world. And I've just started to add it to Facebook and other social media platforms that I use. It is my proof of concept that consistency in exercise and diet is far more important than the intensity. So people go at everything like a bull at a gate, you know, once a week or 3 times a week. It's not the point, folks. You've got to exercise every day. It's like you've got to diet every day, or it's just going to be a waste of your time. It's like saying, I'm going to change the oil in my car this time for maintenance, but I'm going to, put in air in the tires, or I'm going to forget coolant or whatever. Like, it doesn't work. You've just got to be holistic with all this stuff. But the beauty is that you can do the bare minimum, folks. That's what I'm always preaching here. Every time I come here, I'm just saying, this is the bare minimum. So if you came and only did this every day that I train, which used to be every day, but at the moment I'm still gearing up towards getting back to that. I'm kind of busy at the moment. So you can just reuse this video if it at all comes to use for you. If not, and you're more advanced, and that's the whole point, is go off to your own devices and do what needs to be done. So what I usually do is walk people through 2 of the most basic compound movements, which are things that you do every day, which is why you should do them properly. I'm not a form stickler. I'm never going to be, oh, you've got to do this and the angles have got to be perfect and you've got to make sure that, everything's in line with the moons and, Jupiter and all that garbage. Like, really, I'm just trying to encourage people to do it. So forget form stickler, forget times. If I'm doing something and you can't do it, do what you can do, basically. Just see this as like a temple session where you come for 20, 30 minutes, listen to what I'm talking about, see what I've been doing in my day, see if you can relate to it, see if there's any ideas that rub off. You might know most of it, that's cool. You might hear something though that is news to you, and that's the whole point, is to make it an exchange of ideas, so to speak, because my whole point is that you think you know everything, but the reality is you do not know everything. And you can always learn, and if you're not learning, then you're definitely stagnating, possibly going backwards if you think you know everything. So without further ado, it is 11 o'clock on the dot here in Queensland, which means it's midday in Sydney. I don't know what times I'm going to be doing this. I've always liked the idea of doing an after school event, because this was originally geared towards kids who are bone idle these days, and unless they're athletes or in sport, go for it, kids. Go do sport. It's the best form of exercise out there. Actually applying something from your exercise. But nonetheless, the way I always explain this to people as well with exercise is it's rehabilitative, right? So just in the same analogy as using a car, when you maintain a car, we're maintaining ourselves so that we can conduct sport. If you do sport, you're inevitably going to be doing damage to your joints, ligaments, tendons, everything. And so by performing these rehabilitative motions, these daily rehabilitative motions, you'll strengthen your tendons, strengthen your muscles, strengthen your mind, make everything loose and limber, so you're less inclined to damage and get tendonitis, bursitis, muscle cramps and sprains and strains and everything that comes with it if you don't do basic range of motion stuff. So look, we'll get warmed up, and the simplest way to warm up, I find, is with a low impact and probably the most important compound movement that we do, which is a squat. Now, always follow what I say, not what I do. I've got a terrible back and terrible shoulders, but that doesn't stop me from trying, right? So with me, my internal shoulder rotation, which we're going to try and combat doing here from time to time as well, with some basic joint mobility exercises and joint mobility drills, so to speak, is just a basic squat. So with me, my shoulders rotate in, and so I've got anterior pelvic tilt as well, which means my butt sticks out a little bit more than it should. It should be more in, and so as a result, my back is always going to be not necessarily straight. So I make a terrible power lifter. think of a pendulum. The taller you get though, the more you start to be sort of misaligned, so to speak. So follow what I say, not what I do. And if you want perfect technique and you are a form stickler, go out and Google it by all means. So set the clock for 3 minutes to keep it sporting, and this is basically what you're doing from the side. Breathe in, breathe out. I always use the analogy like a bellows, you know, something that kids will absolutely have no idea what it is, but nonetheless, think of it like a pump, right? In, by filling your lungs up with oxygen, you're keeping yourself rigid. It will make it easier to do the range of motion. As I'm always explaining as well, what you're doing is the weight is going to the outside of your feet, folks. So a lot of people will roll the weight onto the inside and it does damage to your knees. You've got ligaments in between your the different parts of your legs, and when you're sort of off kilter, you'll be straining one of the ligaments more than the others, and you can snap them or do damage, and it's something that takes a long time to recover. So the weight, think of your feet. You've been walking undoubtedly around a pool as a kid, or even recently it is summer. When you're walking around the pool, you see that your feet have arches, and you can have fallen arches and flat feet. Sorry folks, if that is the case with you, but nonetheless, we're supposed to have arches in our feet, and so we drive our toes, the side of our feet, and our heels into the ground when we're doing this, so our legs go to the outside like that and not inside like that. So you want to make sure, you see skiers do it when they're going down the hill, they're pressing that weight to the outside of their feet, else they'll buckle their legs. So I've talked so much, I got to make sure that I keep it lean and mean for you people. But whilst I'm explaining things, you can continue to do it, and don't go for broke, folks. Do one. Take a breather. All we're trying to do is get your body to pump the blood through your muscles in some movements. These compound movements are called compound movements because they're using a whole bunch of different muscle groups, which means that your body is needing to oxygenate more muscles, which will keep you breathing harder. So it's more bang for your buck doing compound movements, which is why when you see athletes, they do bench press, squats and deadlifts, the big three that they're known as, and those exercises are just brilliant to just really holistically making you stronger, really making you be able to get that time under tension, which is what we're trying to do with exercise. The more things seize up when you're lifting it is the better. That means you're completely thrashing your body, completely getting everything filled up with blood, and which will, exert a lot of energy, and you'll feel a lot better. Now, look, I've been talking too much. It's my first time back. I'm out of rhythm, so I'm going to start the clock again for another 2 minutes. And like I explained, just show you a few from different angles, making sure you're sitting back into your heels, but keeping your toes firmly planted and the side of the weight is going out. So we're not doing any barbells, so we're not really, you've really got to make sure the weight's coming down straight, as I'm not doing it for the camera, to make sure that you're not going to do this or break your back or slip a disc or herniate a disc. But that's the beauty of what we're doing. It's just an unweighted exercise. So it's something that you do every day. You stand up and sit down onto chairs. So it's something that before we become form sticklers and really analysing what we're doing, see if you can do this or practice sitting down on a chair. I only had a green box today which disappears under the green screen and looks kind of weird, so I didn't end up using it. But I'll find an appropriate box that doesn't blend into the green screen and look like I'm sitting into the ether, and it will look a little bit more sensible. So the whole point of the box squat is so you can practice touch and goes. So you go down until your butt touches it, you don't sit on the box, and you just go back up. It makes it better to be able to gauge your depth and how far you need to go, because really you're just going until your femur is parallel with the ground. You can go to deeper squats, but it puts a lot of strain on your knees and your ankles, and all we're training for here, folks, is obviously to get going, but longevity. If you want to do performance exercises, not only I've done them and I've done them for decades, but I don't think I'm qualified to truly explain them properly. You want to find a powerlifting coach or an Olympic lifter. You don't want to find some bro at the gym or some sister at the gym. They're going to tell you squat. They're going to tell you garbage, basically. So you really want to make sure you know what you're doing. As my 2 minutes gone, I'm going to do another minute anyway. Sorry, folks. I'm feeling it because it's Friday. And so if you get 1 out, that's better than what you did yesterday if you did 0. If you do 5 and the next day you do 6, then we're showing progress. So performance over time, that's what I'm trying to teach you folks, right? Is that to form the habit, you've got to notice some performance increase over time, which will get your consistency going. You'll snowball into this effect. And it might not be that you get 5, 6, 7 on consecutive days. You might just get 5, and the next day get 5, and the next day get 5, the next day get 6, and 3 weeks later get 7. Like, it's just something, as you've noticed with watches, everything these days is monitoring your steps, monitoring your kilojoules or calories, everything that you're taking in. I would have dreamed, beyond dreaming, I would have wished for all this stuff when I was training 20 years ago. Now it's just so much easier to collect data to see your performance increase over time. And by doing something like that, so simple as just monitoring your performance over time, the trend line, it will motivate us a lot. It's like the carrot and the stick, you know, nothing motivates you more than numbers going up. Somebody who trades in the financial sector, and you're looking at data all day, it's very motivating to see that the number go up. Anyway, let's do 10 more and then I'll shut up and we'll move on to the next exercise. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, trying to sit back and do it properly, 1, without my balance losing and falling over. So, I left the aircon on. You're going to get a bit of background noise. I tried to cool the room down to switch it off beforehand because people, speaking of sticklers, people used to notice it on Twitch, like, what's that background hum? What's that noise? It's really irritating me. I'm like, how can that be irritating you? I've got an expander and a compressor on it and a limiter, but seemingly people are very particular about, speaking of sticklers, very particular about production values these days. Something why I've been paranoid about the bleed on my green screen. For some reason, it's fine today, which is cool. Anyway, I'll move on to the next exercise, and I will start that by shifting up a camera down to the foot cam. Now, like a gymnast, start in the corner so my head doesn't cut out. Basically, the way I explained to everybody for the first time, because this is how it was explained to me as a child in Germany. And let's face it, Germans do things very, very efficiently, folks. Quality cars, German. Cycles, cars. Chemistry, pretty much anything the Germans do with a high level of precision, but also very, very efficiently. So, it might seem corny and you might say, oh, I can do proper push-ups. Well, good for you. That's fine. But at times, somebody like me, I can do 60 push-ups at once in different variations, one-arm push-ups even. But there are times where I've broken my shoulders and done damage to ligaments where you have to start somewhere, folks, hence start building me, right? So what you want to do is, so I guess the best would be to lie on the ground, have your fingers spread so you're activating your forearms, have your thumbs lined up with the bottom of your chest. Don't chicken wing your arms out like I'm doing like that. You're pushing more with your tricep. Now breathe in, up, and breathe out. And you can even breathe out on the way down. Breathe in, up, and breathe out. I'm going to get a lot of fuzz on my t-shirt because my carpet is not quite as clean as I would have liked it to be, but what can you do? Breathe in, breathe out. Now, even if you're just doing push-ups like this, right, you're not integrating your core so much because a normal push-up, when you're doing it, is like a plank from your hands with movement, right? And that's all well and good. But really, if you're doing it without the plank, it takes a bit of the core stability exercise out of it. But look what you're doing. You're still pumping blood through your shoulders, pumping it through your chest and your upper back. And you should start feeling the strain if you're not used to doing push-ups. So that's where sets come in, right, folks? You want to do more than what you're capable of on the first time. So if you've just done, like now, 5, take a load off. I'll start the timer so I don't go blue in the face. It's Friday. Everybody gets sick of my voice after 20 minutes, so God help you all. Like I said, I'm going to keep the videos coming though, because I enjoy it. I love the sound of my voice. I love seeing this amazing feat of technology to me anyway. I'm a simpleton. It's good fun. Anyway, it was a good way to communicate with all my friends in different states and over the world by doing something that I love anyway and would be doing with or without this crazy setup. And Twitch and Facebook and everything that's in between. So, and then you would go back. You can start from the ground if you want to. The setup is important. I'm not a form stickler, like I said, but the setup, the better your setup, the more efficient you'll be, the more you'll be able to get. So think, really spread those fingers, folks. The whole point of spreading your fingers means, you know, they dig into the ground and activate your brain into doing something heavy. Breathe in. Like a pump again, or a cycle in and out. So I'm just doing it as an exaggerated way, obviously, folks, because I want you to sort of really focus on your breathing. One thing that I always drill in here is the novice issue is people seize up, and I mean, as all my coaches will know, that's something that I've experienced massively as a novice. They always say, relax, stop grimacing, stop gritting your teeth, you know. So the whole purpose of exercise, the mindfulness of it, is to breathe. And so even though I do heavy weights, big bench press, barbell press, powerlifting exercises, you can still get something, folks, out of doing press-ups off your knees. You might have to do more, but as I always say, keep your hands close to your chest. We're always doing this, and it's loading up your shoulders, folks, putting your shoulder joint under a lot of strain. It shouldn't be that way. By doing this close to your body, not chicken winging your arms out, using your tricep, and your tricep is it's very hard to damage, really hard to damage. I've never had any damage done to my tricep, so you can really, really work it. Now, if you can do strict push-ups, and that's fine, do them in this time. Do sets of 5, 10, whatever you want, and repeat for the time that we're doing them. Now, the same thing applies. Look up, thumbs lined with the bottom of your chest, spread your fingers, feet together, really tense your butt, which is a message that I always tell people. Tense your butt. By tensing your butt, it means you're activating your core. There's my timer. So sorry, I'm going to do some more anyway. Keep it lean. Don't even know the clock hasn't gone on because I'm not using that system. That's fine. I'll chuck another 2 minutes on the clock. And breathe. See, look, I'm even sweating. I've got the aircon on here. I'm dressed in black, which doesn't matter because I'm not under the sun and the beaten down, relentless UV that you have here in tropical Australia. But it should be, you know, even off your knees, doing push-ups, pumping blood into your chest, into your shoulders, into your forearms, your back, even your neck, keeping your head up. It's all stuff that you want to do, folks. And it doesn't have to be that intense if you do it all the time, right? So you just come 20 minutes a day, do your 20, 30 minutes a day, just get everything moving, put your joints through the range of motions, and you'll get injured less, you'll stay fitter, your resting heart rate will be lower, your blood pressure will be lower. All amazingly important things, right? So you can just listen to what I'm saying and try and improve that form. Really spread those fingers, get your body and your brain prepared to do something intense. It means you'll be able to get more out of it as well. And even when you're doing push-ups off your knees, you can pin your knees together and you'll still be able to get some tension in your butt, not as much as if you're doing strict push-ups, but it will be enough to get some good core stability through the exercise as well, folks. Take a break, do 2. Take a break and do 1. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. You've just got to try and do more than you did yesterday. So if you just want to do 1 push-up off your knee and you didn't do any yesterday, that's progress, folks. Crazy as it sounds, that is progress. That is 10 seconds off. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. I'm a fit guy and I'm still feeling it. You know, that's the whole point, is you don't have to do much, folks, but you've got to do something. And most people do nothing at all. So we shall switch back the cam to my original cam. I've got to make this more streamlined. That is good, and that is working. So the blood's pumping from 2 compound movements, 2 simple compound movements without loading it up, without going to the gym. You could be looking at me on your phone doing this in the, maybe not the toilet, but bathroom or the kitchen or anywhere. You could, go do it at the car park at work if you wanted to. And I mean, don't do that. That's the stuff I used to do. And then you become the office weirdo. Now, I embrace being the office weirdo now, but in my 20s it was kind of embarrassing. So don't do that. Don't do it in the bathroom. That might be weird as well. Let's do it at home. Wait till the night or do it in the morning and do it at home. So I like to cool down. For the very last thing that I do, you've worked your posterior chain, so your lower back, your glutes and your hamstrings. You've also done your quadriceps, obviously, and a lot of your hip flexors has been worked, your calves. You've done your shoulders, you've done your back, you've done your arms, your triceps, forearms. Everything has gotten a little bit of blood going through it, a bit of movement. Now, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be sitting at a desk or your school desk or an office desk, or in a car or whatever it is that you're doing. The inevitability during the day is you'll have internal shoulder rotation. That's an exaggeration. I exaggerate a lot of stuff to just emphasize the point, folks. I want to make that clear. Just for the love of goodness, what is... Sweet. I was just concerned about the microphone monitor there. Seems to be right. So hopefully you guys are having a good week, and you're going to have a good week. And this is a good joint mobility drill to reduce, or at least to stretch and strengthen your muscles in your shoulders to reduce that internal shoulder rotation. So think thumbs up, hard to see with a black t-shirt. Thumbs going inwards and down, that's internal rotation. External rotation, thumbs up, turning outside, that's the external rotation. So what we're doing is alternating between in and out. In on the way down, out on the way up. Now, you don't have to stress it, force it out, anything like that. Just think of the range of motion and what you're doing. Thumbs going to the outside, thumbs going to the inside, and repeat. And it becomes an exercise, like I've explained to different friends over the last 2 years. It will get your heart rate up as well, because again, it's using a whole different bunch of muscles around there. And a lot of the muscles that we have around there are tight because we're always doing that. So we want to do the opposite of that, essentially. But like anything, a range of motion's only, or range of movement, range of motion, range of movement, doesn't really matter, is only complete when it goes through the full range of movement. Range of movement, doesn't really matter. Whatever you want, ROM is what I'm used to reading. What it means is irrelevant. The day of the acronym, the era of the acronym, rather. I didn't start my timer, so let's go for another 2 minutes. And it will even make you breathe. You'll feel your shoulders burning. Mine are already burning. And seriously, folks, I can't stress this enough. If this is the only thing you did during the day, it's a decent workout. It is the bare minimum, like I always stress and have stressed every day for the last 2 years on Twitch. But as my friend said, tongue-in-cheek, I hope, Twitch, I usually get those in my legs. That's what most people that I do know have very little understanding of Twitch, which is just a video game platform where people watch people play video games. Seems kind of strange to me. I used to love playing video games, not so much watching people, but people can make $1 million a year having people watch them play video games. It's a great time to be alive, folks. So again, thumb goes out and up, rotating in and down. Get your body nice and limber to sit back like this instead of like that. Just another 40 seconds and I am gone. This weekend I am doing yard work, exciting stuff with the new whippersnipper that I acquired, which is great. Bathed the hounds yesterday, walked the hounds up the mountain today. A little bit of Counter-Strike perhaps, a little bit of work. Any movie suggestions would be great. And I am watching a bit of Yellowstone, started that, was told that it was good, it's not too bad, not really grabbing me. And I've been listening to Exodus's most recent album and Blood Red Throne's most recent album, as well as Camo and Crooked and Fred V for the drum and bass, if you do not like death metal or thrash metal, which is most people. Now, not something I normally do, but my neck's just started clicking now, so what can you do about that? Just some head circles now. You see people swinging their head around. People talk about the Achilles heel. Our Achilles heel is in fact our neck. Most people have a very weak neck, a very pencil neck, and you want to make sure that you don't have a pencil neck, right? So just using your body's weight is enough of a stretch. You can even pinch your shoulders up to reduce the range of movement, motion, who cares, the ROM. And when you're circling your head like this, you'll just be putting it through. It's like, I think of like, it's a bad analogy because it's not like this if you look at our physiology at all. But just imagine a socket, like a joint, and it's just cleaning off the joint around there, making it go through the full motion, which is obviously not the physiology of our neck, but nonetheless, it just makes, if anything's grinding up or calcifying or whatever it is that happens with our neck joints and our joints in general, that's why you want to go through full range of motion, because it's something that will give you longevity, means you'll be able to train for longer, and you won't. You see people from going straight end up going back to the fetal position if you don't fight against gravity. So you've really got to make sure that you try it. One of my slogans that I use on startbuilding.me is stand tall, which came from a friend because I was trying to explain that we should go out of our way to stand tall. It's not saying, oh yeah, I'm 6'3", you should be like me. Well, it kind of is, but also just standing tall, you know? Not only respect yourself, but, you know, fight gravity, you know? Make sure that you're not just becoming one of those people that ends up just getting bad posture and just accepting it. No, you've got to fight gravity, you've got to maintain exercise, you've got to maintain your health every day for the rest of your life, as I always bang on to people, and they used to get it into their heads and repeat it before I could even say it in the message section. So look, folks, you should embrace that. Don't think, oh, this is terrifying, I've got to exercise every day. The only reason you think that way is because people taught you to exercise incorrectly, right? And usually people pick it up later in life these days. It's not something like me where you've been playing under 4 football or soccer since you're a kid, which is like most of my cousins and my cousins as kids. We've got a militant soccer mum family. But if you haven't and you've gotten into it later, you don't see it as something rewarding, you see it as something masochistic or something, an endurance, and it shouldn't be that, which is why I'm just trying to show you that you can do it pretty casually and still get a good result out of it. We will streamline this. I'll talk less and I'll just be doing this so you can look. I'll have notes to explain it so you can look in between it, and guideline videos where I just specifically do the routines and don't talk it through it. This is more of a question and answer time that I like to have as well. Like I said, most importantly for me, the more I explain things to teach things, the better I understand it myself. So even when nobody watches these videos, I learn from something. So there's that beautiful element of self-satisfaction that I get out of it, or that fringe benefit that I get out of it from explaining things better. When I started 2 years ago, I literally couldn't speak in front of a camera. I felt like a dork, and now I am a dork still, but I can talk in front of a camera. So there's a fringe benefit in itself. So I really enjoy doing this because there's something that people pick up no matter what level they are of athleticism or exercise, and they'll say, hey, I didn't know that. And that's good. That means you're learning something and that you're picking something and you're able to focus on something or improve some technique. You know, anybody who does combat sports, jiu-jitsu, boxing, judoku, players, whatever it is that you are, will know that it's just a never-ending research development system. Like, you never master sports. There's always something that you're picking up. The same as with exercise. You can always do something. You can become a form stickler if you're so inclined, and really think of everything perfectly to make sure that you don't do any damage to any joints and muscles, and think of it like a repair session. Also for your body, but also your mind. Me and my brother-in-law call the gym church. Like, you go in there to relax, to stretch things out, feel the cracks, see what's aching, see what needs rehabilitation, and working on that, folks. It should be enjoyable. The gym for me is the most pleasurable part of the day, along with walking, just to get out and focus on you and nothing else. Really just focus on you. The thing that carries your brain, the thing that carries your essence, is something that you don't want to neglect. There is a duality throughout the universe, whether you like it or not, and it's tying, in this instance, your body into your mind, and you can't have a healthy brain without a healthy body, and vice versa. It's just something that's essential. The old saying, nobody respects all brain and no brawn, just like all brawn and no brain, which is something that you hear amongst coaches in combat sports clubs. You've really got to focus on your brain as well, folks. You've got to focus on your body as well. Like I said, the duality, and it just makes it impossible to avoid. And that's why I'm here, to be that annoying jester that's on the camera, on your Facebook feed, popping up on your Instagram feed. I couldn't care less, folks. I've got no shame. You all know that by now. All I'm trying to do is promote what I do know best, and I've provided information to everyone I know. Every single person I know does something or has taken away some exercise or health habit from me, whether they like to admit it or remember it or not. Some might be like, oh, I didn't learn anything. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You all did after the last 20 years. So I know stuff that I've done is actually correct and has worked wonders for many people. So you might be acting all hard and independent now, but it didn't used to be the way. Anyway, that's 30 minutes now. I usually get it done in 20 minutes, but like I said, I'm sort of excited that I got everything set up. And I'm improving on it every day without even doing anything. The wonders of technology. Switch it on, switch it off and on again, right? Anyway, have a great weekend, folks. I'll keep the videos coming. I'll do some diet ones as well. But basically, the starting point is always to start building you, is to get the blood pumping, ask questions. I can customize sessions for people if they want. I've got time to do it. And will happily oblige, especially if it's something that people are trying to work out certain injuries that they've had. It doesn't matter to me. This is my life. I love it. Have a great weekend. Love you all. Catch up.